Yo guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you're not. Super excited today because New World Aeternum devs just released a brand new update video. I'm super excited about this because I recently came out with a video called New World Aeternum What's Next? Kind of like talking about what you can expect in the future, things that we knew about, things that we could hope for, and a lot of the things that I discussed in that video, this video basically confirms what I was talking about. A couple of the things I was talking about didn't end up getting talked about in this dev update, like the barber shop, or like a use for the bars, or a use for the bathhouse. But there's a lot in here to digest, take in, and we're going to be talking about it today. The last New World dev update came out 5 months ago. So they've been radio silent this entire time. We were told Summer Game Fest was going to be the tell-all, know-all. So the PC players, me especially, we've been waiting for this video for a long time. And I like in this video that they say that the roadmap is flexible. So there's a section that's like hardcore confirmed, like next season, season 7. There's a bunch of stuff in there that's like hardcore confirmed. But to be fair, we've kind of heard this before, and then some features haven't made the cut. So we'll see if they fully keep that promise. And then they talk about things that are currently in development, that are being worked on right now. And then they finish it up with things that they want to see in the future and that they want to hear our feedback on before it gets put into the game. And we can discuss that later. But let's jump into the video here and see some of the more interesting things throughout this video. So what we're looking at right here is the stuff that's kind of hardcore confirmed to be in the game next season. Like 100% this stuff is going to be in the next season, so they say. Again, we've heard this before. But I'm very optimistic, I'm very excited, I'm very hyped. Let's start at the very top here. Seasonal world. We'll talk about what the PvP means in a second. But seasonal worlds is like old school RuneScape Deadman mode, where they do new things, experiment, or Diablo 4 seasonal realms. So in Diablo 4, there's like a current, like old realm that's kind of always going, always persistent, your guy's always there. And then they have like a seasonal aspect to it, where every season you have to make a new character, and there's new things to do, and there's like a twist to it that season. This is very exciting. This allows the New World team to experiment and see what works in these seasonal worlds and be like, okay, players really like this, players really didn't like that. So we won't add that in, but we'll definitely keep this. And they're also bringing back old features. So let's get to the PvP aspect of this. The first seasonal world is going to be PvP is enabled everywhere. This is going to be really fun for the PvP enjoyers. You'll be able to kill anyone at any time, and it's apparently full loot. You'll drop your resources, your gear, everything. Like, it's a full loot PvP world. It's going to be so much fun. And they're bringing back old mechanics in these seasonal worlds. So for example, they took out the need to repair your gear in the New World Aeternum launch. Well, in this first seasonal full loot PvP world, they're going to bring back to where you need to repair your gear, you need to repair your tools. It's going to feel more like, they explain it like it's going to feel more like the alpha or maybe the initial launch of New World, where you could fully level just off crafting if you wanted to. So nowadays, if you want to fully level from level 1 to 65 or max level, whenever you're watching this video, the only real efficient way to do it is through the main story quest line, or the MSQ, which is short for main story quest. But back when New World first launched, you were actually able to level up entirely through just crafting, and they kind of removed that aspect from the game. So in this seasonal world, they're going to be bringing that back, and we'll see how they adjust it on the seasonal world. We'll see how it works out, and maybe they'll bring that back to the main game so you can get XP just through crafting again, which would be actually very cool. They've talked a bunch more about the seasonal worlds, and I might do another video completely separate on talking about some of these topics more in depth, but I'm going to move on to the next one, which is the new OPR map preview. So in my video, when I was discussing what's next in New World Aeternum, I showed a clip of Scott talking about the new OPR map that was coming. So we kind of already knew about this one, but what they talk about in this video in particular is how there's going to be multiple game modes, multiple maps coming. This is just the very first one, But they basically said, okay, now that we're done revamping the starting zones and all the new player experience and mid game, they're liking where mid game's at. They're like, it's in a good state. We're gonna really focus on just pumping out some new maps for you guys, which is what they promised back when the 3v3 map was first introduced. But then they ended up lacking on that because they did the fresh start revamp. So they said they're going to put the pedal to the metal and they're going to start working on more maps for us, more game modes, and they specifically said capture the flag. In my video on what's to come, I predicted that hopefully it was going to be a capture the flag game mode and stuff. Now, we don't know if this new OPR map preview is going to be the capture the flag game mode or if it's just going to be the domination game mode just on a new map. We do not know, but what we do know is we are getting a new map in Season 7, and they said it's only going to be out for maybe a weekend, maybe a week or whatever, just so that we could test it, because it's not ready yet. So there's probably going to be bugs, glitches, exploits, spots that you can jump in that you're not supposed to do. Like, we've seen this all before. But they said they're going to release it for like a week or a weekend, let the players test it out, give feedback, and then they're going to remove it, do the feedback, and then implement it fully. This is very exciting. I don't care if it's domination again. I don't care if it's team deathmatch. I don't care if it's capture the flag. I'm just super excited to finally get a new map, and they know that we've been waiting a long time for this. So this is very, very exciting. I'm hyped over this. I can't even put into words how excited I actually am for this. This is crazy. Alright guys, let's move on to the next thing that we see on this list, which is Mutated Expedition Upgrade. So let's just talk about what we see right away, which is the M3 in matchmaking. Oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Finally, solo players can just queue for M3s in matchmaking, just like you queue for M1, just like you queue for normal dungeon or M2. I am loving that. I'm mainly a solo player, if you guys don't know. I don't really have a company or a big group of friends to play with. I'm just kind of a lone wolf, so this is major for me. They went over some new rewards that were going to be in these mutations. They think that the rewards aren't good enough, but the unified mutations, this is where it gets interesting. Currently, how the system works is we have 3 different mutations every week, and each one of these mutations will have like a twist to it. So you take a certain type of damage or something in that mutation, but all 3 of the mutations are different and will have a different twist. So this one might be nature damage, this one might be void damage, this one might be something else, and so you just end up having to re-gear a bunch of times, maybe reset some stats or whatever. It's just a pain. So what they're going to do, instead of making you switch your gear every time, is they're going to make it so all of the mutations have the same twist to it. So it'll be different every week. The twist is still going to change, but for all 3 of the mutations, you'll no longer have to swap out your gear every time because, oh, this one's nature, so now I got to switch out my gear or my gems or both. Now it'll just be you have your gear set, you have your gems in or whatever, and you can just run the mutation. It's going to be very nice. No longer needing to swap out, waste time, and just that's all it is. Just a bunch of unnecessary downtime when you could just be running the mutation. Another thing they talked about that's coming in Season 7 is new daily solo trials. And solo trials right now is okay. It's in the activity section. It's okay, it's something to do. You do get an artifact from it, but once you get the artifact from it, which you can get in literally like 2-3 days, some people even get it on their first day trying it, but after you get the artifact from the solo trials, there's no really need to keep doing them. So I kind of hope that they hear people's feedback on that, and in the future they can kind of incorporate another reason to keep doing them. I love chase items. They took out the chase items from the mutations for some reason. There was if you didn't know, there was mount items that you can get in there, and there was even mounts that you can get in certain mutations, and they removed those from the loot pool. I don't know if that's intentional or if it was a glitch or whatever, a bug, but I like chase items like that, something that's not 100% necessary, but if you do end up going for it, you can get a slight edge or a cooler mount or something. I really like that idea. So I hope that for the solo trials, they'll put like a couple new mount items in there, or a new mount or something. Something like that would be very cool. Combat balance update, they do this every season, so that's nothing new. They're just gonna rebalance things. They went over that quickly. New artifacts and perks. They talked about like 8 new artifact weapons coming into the game or something like that, and 1 new ring or something. But either way, new artifacts is always fun because it mixes up the build, mixes up the things that you can do. You're not seeing people run the same artifacts every single time. And they also talked about specific perks that would help in certain situations. So very situational perks, like the one that popped into my head as soon as they were talking about it was like a perk for capture the flag. Was like, if you have the flag in capture the flag, then you run quicker. You get a speed boost or whatever. Like just very situational. It sounded like that. I could have completely have read that situation wrong or what they were saying, but that's what it sounded like to me, and honestly, I'm kind of on board for that. They were talking about a more horizontal progression instead of a vertical progression, and I've been kind of on the side for vertical progression for a long time, even before the Brimstone Sand release. So I'm actually very happy to hear that they're thinking about that in their heads. They're thinking, okay, what can we do? Well, we can come out with specific perks for the flag carrier. We can come out with specific perks for this situation. Honestly, the flag carrier was the only one that popped in my head, but you know, they're a bigger team than just me. So hopefully they can think of some cool ones there. That'd actually be very cool. Seasonal event and world bosses. They talked about, I can't remember what event they were talking about. It was Colossus, I think, or something like that. I forget what the event's called. It's a very cool event where you verse 2 bosses at once. Very cool. But they were talking about revamping the rewards for that, so that would be 700 gear score plus dropping from him instead of just 700 gear score, which is kind of not irrelevant, but people clearly want some better gear score. They want the 725, so if you do the seasonal event they were talking, then you'll get better gear score, which is very cool. So let's move on. This is the in development stage of the video. This is where they talk about things that they're working on and that are going to be put into the game in the future. So again, they're bringing up the new seasonal worlds, which we talked about earlier, and then they were talking about the end game progression improvements. Down here it says cross character progression, including seasonal worlds, warp around XP, Umbrals V2. I don't really know what they're talking about here, and they didn't really talk about this in the video, but for the end game progression improvements, they definitely went over reputation, which you can see down the list a little bit. They want to have reputation in each territory. They went over being able to capture and build the flag areas throughout the world. It sounded like the ones that they use for the PvP races every night. They kind of want those to be like something that you can build and use, and it sounded pretty cool actually. But the new PvP modes. Okay, so in the first section, there's a new OPR map. I assume that that's just going to be domination once again, and new PvP modes will probably be later down the line, like capture the flag, and who knows what else they're going to do, because again, going to World of Warcraft, they have Eye of the Storm, and that is like a capture the flag domination hybrid, which is pretty cool. So who knows what new PvP modes that we'll see in the future. I'm super excited for it though. Maybe like an escort mission like Overwatch, where you have to like escort this thing all the way to the end, and your people need to be on it, and if they have people on it, then they push it back or whatever to a checkpoint. I don't know. Who knows what they're going to come up with though. It sounds like they're going to be pumping out new modes though, a lot more now that they don't have to focus on revamping areas as much. They did talk about going over and revamping Reek Water. They were talking about having that become an end game area so players can go there, explore, which is kind of cool if they're still going around doing that. But then they also talk about, oh well, let's bring in new territories. I think that's later on in the video. We'll talk more about that later. But yeah, let's just keep going here. New mode maps. Yeah, so new PvP modes is like capture the flag, the hybrid where it's like domination and capture the flag. I'm excited to see what else they bring. But the new mode maps, this is so major. This is what we're getting in Season 7 for the weekend or the week or however long they're going to give it to us for so that we can test it out. But they said that we can expect more in the future. Now, we've heard this before when they came out with the 3v3 arena, new map, when Brimstone Sands came out. They said now that they've implemented that, it's easier for them to implement more. Then I think that their focus shifted to the fresh start and the fresh start experience for console players to revamp it, make it better, so they weren't able to focus on the new maps. Now that that's done, I think they're going to be able to focus on the new maps, and this is going to be amazing. I'm so excited for this, guys. I really am. It's coming. It's here. This is major. Invasion mode with matchmaking. That is right. They went over, they talked about invasion. They talked about adding in new mobs and stuff, revamping that, which I'm very happy because, again, I went over what's coming next. I had a section where it's like what things that I would like to see change in the future, and invasion was one of them. I would love to see this mode revamped, used. It's actually so fun, and they're going to make it a matchmaking game mode. So like OPR, how you go to game modes and you go down to OPR or 3v3 or whatever you want, you're going to see invasion in there, and you're going to be able to queue with some people and do them. And I hope that they put, again, chase items in here, like mounts, like rare special mounts that have like a super low drop rate, or I forget what the attachments are for mounts, but like just something like the speed boost or whatever for your mount. I would just love to see chase items in these game modes so that there's like a point to do them, instead of just doing it for like a gold farm or whatever. End game reputation system. That's right, we're gonna move on. End game reputation system. They were talking about kind of like a World of Warcraft thing, where each territory you'll have like a reputation in, and I'm assuming that it's going to be like a reward thing, like we're kind of hinting on this, is that the more reputation you get with this town, you'll end up getting rewards for it. They weren't really too specific on what rewards you would get, but in World of Warcraft, you can go to certain vendors in World of Warcraft once you get a high enough reputation. You can buy specific things there. Sometimes mounts, sometimes gear. It just all really depends on the area. So very cool that they're implementing that type of system into this game. We'll see how they handle it. Will there be chase items? Will it be worth it to even do? That we will wait and see. But again, very excited to see what they do there. It is in development, so that system is coming. All these systems are in development already. So no matter what we say, these systems are going to be here. It's going to be the ones later on in this video that I talk about where we will be able to give our input like, oh, whoa, hey, don't do that. So in development, territory system improvements. Right now, there's a territory standing system that's in the game. They've been talking about this for a while. This is nothing new. They want to make it so that we can respec our territory standing if needed. So that's nothing new. We've known about this for a while, but if you didn't know, now you know. Pickup wars. We're going to move on. Pickup wars. They were discussing making this a game mode as well. So right now, if you try to get into a war, if you don't know somebody, it's very hard to get in. If you're a newbie, if you're a freshie, if you've never been in the war, if you never ran with this group before, they talk about all this, it's very hard to get into. Even as a vet for myself, I've only ever played in a handful of wars myself, and yeah, you just gotta pretty much know somebody to get in. So they were talking about pickup wars, making that a game mode as well. So invasion will be a game mode and wars will be a game mode so that everybody can get experience doing these things. And then if you want to sign up for it for the time that it's supposed to be, for the time that it's scheduled, then you can do that too and help out companies or whatever. This is gonna be very cool. Pickup wars, I'm very excited about. Yeah, not much more to say about that. Very cool. Crafting improvement. So in the New World Aeternum launch, they basically butchered crafting and made it so that you can't craft really good gear. Like, it's kind of not worth it to be a crafter right now, like unless you're kind of doing bags, but even then it's kind of still not really worth it. But yeah, overall, being a crafter right now, it's kind of lackluster. So they know this. They're gonna make improvements so that you can craft better gear again. They're gonna make it so that it's a little bit more harder. I'm fully on board with the crafting improvements. Bring back crafters, let them, you know, like, I'm not a huge into crafting myself. I like to max out all my skills, but I'm not a huge crafter. Like, I'm not doing it on the daily. I kind of just max them out, leave them maxed. But I'm very excited to see this. And again, I hope that they make it so you can get XP off doing this too. So if you're just a crafter, that's all you want to do, you'll be able to get to max level just crafting, which I think would be very cool. Invasion difficulties. I don't remember too much about them going over this, so I'm not going to speak too much on this, but hopefully they make the earlier ways. I talked about this in my other video, what's coming next. Hopefully they make round 1, 2, and 3 harder, because it's just kind of like boring waiting around for the later rounds, and the later rounds are fun, like really fun. But just those first couple rounds are just like, okay, like, you know, is this really necessary to even be here? Let's move on. Endgame rewards and system improvements. We kind of already went over this with the reputation, with the reputation, with the modes, with the crafting. We kind of went over all this already, so we're just going to move on. Global storage, again, I don't remember them touching on global storage. Very interesting to see how this works. Don't know what they're talking about with this. Very interesting. Do not know. We're going to move on. Barbershop. Again, I don't remember them talking about this, but I talked about this in my what's coming next video. It was one of my first things I suggested. I would love to see a barbershop, so that, you know. If you guys haven't seen that video, link will be down below. But yeah, I talked about this, and it's good to know that's in development. So if you joked around and made a goofy character, but you want to take the game a little bit more seriously, or maybe you made a too serious character and you want to goof around a little bit, Barbershop's going to be sick. In exploration. So these are things that are not in development. These are things that are getting talked about. Like, let's give our feedback. This is the time to give our feedback. Go to this dev update video. I'll leave it linked down below. Give your feedback on any of these systems. Watch the video. Make sure you watch their video. Give feedback on the systems. Let them know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see. Now is the time to tell them so that they can plan for the next year. So definitely leave your feedback. Now is the time. Don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait till they announce something that you don't like. Give your feedback now. So let's go over this. They actually went over the new weapons. They said they have multiple in development right now. One's coming out, but they want to start giving more weapons on the regular. They don't want weapons to be like once a year thing. You know, they want new things in the game. I'm super excited for that. New weapons is huge. Basically, new weapons is a new class in New World. So in World of Warcraft, a new class would be like the Death Knight or the Monk or the Demon Hunter. It's been a while since I played. I don't know any current ones, sorry. But yeah, those were like the new classes in World of Warcraft, and these are the new classes in New World. I'm super excited for those. Alright, let's move on to the next thing. They're talking about new raids. We expect this, you know. They gave us Hive. I think it's Hive. I think the raid's called Hive. They gave us Hive recently with the New World Aeternum launch, and it's actually really fun. Really cool. I don't hate it. So I'm actually very excited to see them. We can expect new raids in the future anyways. Raid difficulty levels though. So they were talking about how they've had the first clears for under 30-minute clear time and under a 20-minute clear time. And they were talking about making the next raid even harder, which is very interesting if you haven't beat the first one or the sandworm. But difficulties. So you could raise it, maybe lower it, I don't know. We'll have to see. But if you can raise it up, that would actually be very interesting. Like, that would give the top companies, like those top players, something to do. This wouldn't be something for the average player. This might even be out of my league. Because again, I'm a solo player. I don't really have a squad to roll with. So maybe the higher levels would be out of my league. This would definitely be good, easy to like implement content for them, for the really elite players. I think it's a good idea. The territory system overhaul, I don't know why it's in this section as well, because I think it was in the last section that we just discussed, but apparently they put it here as well. We already know about the influence, we already know about the standing. Influence towers claim siege system with building. This is what I was talking about earlier in the other section as well, is that they want those. Right now in New World Aeternum, there's a thing called influence race, and these happen at certain times on your server. So for me, it's around 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. I think they run till. Maybe it's 9 p.m. But basically, there's towers that you can go and capture for your team to get points for this race. And this is basically saying that they're going to update these so that you can claim them. And then you can build up the tower. So this would actually be really cool for a gatherers. Say you're in a company, or say you're a solo player, and you're gathering and you're like, like, I want to participate in the PvP race tonight. What can I do? I can build up the tower. I can build up the siege system, like the siege or whatever, right? Like, it's going to be very cool to see how they implement that, because this was kind of like the vision that they wanted in the alpha, was like building, people fighting. Like, this was like the vision back then, and it's kind of getting implemented now, which is super cool in my opinion, because I like that vision. I'm not a super hardcore PvP on all the time guy, even though I do flag 99% of the time. But I do like to PvP when I want to PvP, and this is just something that is super cool for those players who enjoy that. And even just with the building system, like, that's not even PvP, that's just like participating, getting PvP XP, but still doing like a PvE type thing, which is building. So very cool. Very cool, actually. All instant content available in matchmaking. They didn't go over this too much, but I assume that this is just anything that you like queue up for, like a solo fight, or what else is kind of instanced? I guess it's just wars again, invasions. I guess just things like that. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. Let me know in the comments if you guys can of what else could be instant that they're gonna make queuable. But it's very cool that they're doing that. Just give us more things to do, more things to queue for. Love that. Oh my god. And then they went over the company halls with storage. And again, if you guys watched my video on what's coming next, I requested in a section of that video, like, I'd love to see company halls, like a reason to build up with your company, like a big group of players. Like, again, I'm a solo player, but if there was more reasons to be in a company, more things to do in a company, maybe I would consider joining a company besides wars. You know what I mean? Like right now, the only thing to do in a company is participate in wars. So it's kind of like, all right, well, I'm not on all the time. Like I want to do a war when I have time, and I can't be on every single, you know what I mean? Every single war. So company halls with storage, I'm loving this. I love to see this. Let us decorate it. Let us put our stuff in it. Like, oh man, I'm actually super excited for this. Literal like goosebumps. This is sick. Ranked PvP, very interested. So they talk about in this video that the more they add different things to queue for, the longer queue times are going to be, because oh well, you can queue for this OPR map, and then you can queue for this game mode, and then you can queue for this, and then you can queue for that, and it splits up the player base and the queue times. And I fully agree with this, and I think that they should make all game modes in one queue. There is no, oh, I want to queue for OG OPR, or I want to queue for capture the flag, or I want to queue for, you just queue up for PvP game modes, click, and then it's all of them in one, and you just randomly get put into a map or a game mode or whatever, so that way the player base isn't really split up that much. Because I'm just thinking, well, like I can see some people being like, oh well, I only want to play capture the flag, I only want to play the new game mode, I only want to do this one thing, and it's like, okay, well, that's cool, but 15-minute queues don't sound fun to me. You know what I mean? 30-minute queues don't sound fun to me. We had that before, and yeah, they're not fun. So ranked PvP, I think, should be its own queue. Like say they just want to do ranked 3v3, or maybe both, maybe ranked OPR and 3v3. Those should be separate, and then all the like normal, just for fun game modes, fun PvP game modes, should just be one click queue feature. Like for 3v3, you don't queue for specific maps, you just queue for 3v3, and whatever map is in that rotation that week, which I also hate, you get to play that map. I think it should be is you get any map, any game mode. As soon as you click that 3v3 button or the OPR button, it's random. Whatever you get, you get. It's not like, oh, weekly it's this. No. Switch it up. Like let people play random shit every day. I don't want to play the same map for a week and then like, no, switch it up. Let it be random. Very hyped for ranked PvP though. Cool to see where people will rank. Yeah. Very interesting. This, though, is something that we need to talk about. Procedural expeditions with extraction. Now, when they're talking about new game modes, new things, this is expeditions with extraction. So this is PvE. They did talk about a BR game mode possible for the PvP, by the way, which is fucking crazy. But procedural expeditions with extractions. So this would be not a story-based expedition. This would be a random expedition that unfolds as you go through it, which would be really cool. This is like number one that I would love to see on. Let me make sure before I say that. It's up there. Let's just say this is like top 2. Alright, on this list. I would love to see this feature in the game. That's just crazy to even think about, because like right now, all the expeditions, all the dungeons, they're just all the layout. Like that's just how MMOs are. That's how World of Warcraft is. You go into a dungeon and you just like, I'm trying to think of a dungeon. I'm drawing a blank. What's the first one? And fucking Westfall. What's that one? People are gonna kill me for not knowing. I don't know it. I don't know the name. Been a while since I played. Sorry guys. It's just always been one layout. This just makes it could be just random. You don't know what to expect when you go into these. This is gonna be legit. Like this is infinite content. This is like crazy. As long as they keep up with the rewards, and they did say in this video that they'll update the rewards on older content. And I was worried about that. My what's next to come video again. But they said, hey, we're gonna update the rewards. So if they update the procedural expeditions with extractions. Like, it's literally infinite content. And then they could add new pieces to it. So in the randomly procedural, like there's certain pieces that are going to be in it. So then you'll start seeing like, oh, I've seen this piece before. Like I've seen this archway before. I've seen this, like, you know what I mean? It's just in the code. But if they can make it so, oh, well, now it has new pieces, like we're taking a couple new pieces, putting them in there, and then that's going to be in the procedural generation, so it can be like truly random and different. Very interested to see what they do with this. Might make a whole video on that in itself. It's crazy. New PvE mode. I don't even know what they could do for this. Like, one new PvE mode that I've been saying since before Brimstone Sands that I would love to see, like I used to post this on the forums back in the day, is like a zombie game mode, like legit steal Call of Duty, like old school zombie game mode, and put that in New World Eternum. Like we have zombies, we have corrupted. Doesn't have to just be corrupted, just for the record, but have it so it's like we're in a church, like it's a group of 4, a group of 5, and it's like everyone could be sword shield. Okay, now everyone get a door, and like that's the strat. You know what I mean? Or like you know what I mean? Like and you survive as long as you can. You get rewarded for how long you survive, and there's no like kicking you out after 50 rounds. Just you can go as long as you can go. Just go. Like, if you know what I mean. I would actually like really love something like that. Very excited to see what they do with the new PvE modes. I honestly don't know what they could do other than that. I don't really think that they talked about it. So we're gonna move on. New exploration and collecting system. This kind of ties in with the reputation in each territory. I talked about that earlier. I'm not going to go over all that again. This video is already going to be like 40 minutes talking about all this stuff. So the new exploration collecting system, basically reputation for all that, and get rewards in town, probably something like that. We're gonna move on. Endgame rewards and system overhauls. Did we kind of went over this? Like again, it's just the reputation, the territory standing. There's a territory system overhaul here, which is kind of endgame. So just the endgame rewards and system overhauls. They want to make the rewards more impactful, more important, and I'm all for that. But give us more chase items. Like again, they took out the chase items from the mutations. I don't know if that's a bug or not, but again, like keep those in the game. Keep chase items in the game so there's a reason to do something. The artifacts work. People like mounts. People like mounts. Have mounts in there. They did have them. Check them out. Zone up levels, we went over this earlier with the reek water. They're just going to boost that up. We already went over that. We're not going to go over that too much. New zone. This was something that I predicted in my what's to come next video. Everyone's been asking for a new zone. Like, yeah, making old zones like reek water usable again is cool, but we really want a new zone. Like Brimstone Sands, like really blew us out of the water. Like it's my favorite expansion to the map to this day. Like they revamped Cutlass Keys, they revamped First Light, they're gonna revamp Reek Water. Like that's cool, but Brimstone Sand was just like French kiss. It was so good. It was perfect. Down to the last minute detail. Perfect. Then they messed up and made the Sandworm a raid instead of open world, which it was kind of like hinted at being when it first came. Anyway, that's a whole different topic, but it was really good. And new trade skill, they didn't go over this. They didn't go over this in the video. New trade skill, just off the top of my head, because I didn't look at this list earlier, but just off the top of my head, new trade skill, I would personally love to see boats get introduced in the future. I would love that to be a trade skill. Have like islands and stuff you can go to. They could even have it so your boat could get like sunk or whatever, like if you're flagged, like kind of like Sea of Thieves style. That's just the one off the top of my head. I don't know what they're thinking for new trade skills. If you guys have any other ideas for trade skills, feel free to leave them down below. But yeah, I don't really know. I'd love to see sailing put into the game. Like we're pirates. I feel like that's how this game originated. We're in the 1700s. We're pirates. So I would love to see sailing get put into the game. I think that'd be cool. I don't know why we'd need sailing. I just think it would be cool. And if it doesn't get put in the game, I'm not going to cry about it. I don't know. I honestly don't know what they would do for new trade skills. I didn't really go over that. But guys, this video is probably going to be like 40 minutes long. If you guys have lasted to the end of the video, we're at the end of the video. If you guys have lasted this long, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys listening to me and my thoughts about the game. I haven't played New World since launch. I love this game, and this dev update was major. If you guys watched this far, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give the video a like if you liked it. Leave your comments down below with what you thought about this video, if you thought it was a good update, what you think about it, should we trust what they say. Leave your thoughts down below. Anyways, I'm outie. Peace.